केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What began as a high-level diplomatic engagement focused on strategy, trade and green partnerships has suddenly spiraled into a global debate on press freedom. A 14-second video clip is now generating more headlines than Prime Minister Narendra Modi's entire five-nation Nordic outreach. The moment came after Prime Minister Modi and his Norwegian counterpart had concluded their joint statement. Let me repeat, joint statement, not an open press conference. As Prime Minister Modi stepped away from the podium, a local journalist, Helle Lyng shouted a question across the hall. Here is what actually happened.
Prime Minister Modi, why don't you take some questions from the freest press in the world? Prime Minister Modi, why don't you take some questions from the freest press in the world?
Was this a legitimate journalistic moment? Is this the way or the platform to pose questions to a visiting dignitary? I will leave that for you to decide. Helle later captioned the clip saying the Prime Minister of India would not take my question. I was not expecting him to. That post has now clocked over 9 million views, 5 of them from me because I was trying to figure out what the actual question was. Frankly, all I saw was a performance. But here's what actually happened next. The Indian Embassy in Norway invited Helle for an actual media interaction, a proper press briefing. Her questions about human rights and press freedoms got a 12-minute long comprehensive response from one of India's senior-most diplomats, MES Secretary West. He pushed back strongly against opinions on India shaped by misleading narratives, making it clear India will not stay silent when it is being baselessly judged by those who have little information.
People have no understanding of the scale of India. People have no understanding. They read, one or two news reports published by some godforsaken, ignorant NGOs and then come and ask questions. We are 1/6 of the total population of the world, but not 1/6 of the problems of the world. We have a constitution which guarantees the rights of the people, fundamental rights of the people. We have equal rights for the women of our country, which is very important.
Now comes the most fascinating part of this entire episode. Helle asked, why should we trust India? Interesting question. Perhaps it should first be directed at Norway's own establishment, because when Helle said we, she clearly was not speaking for the Norwegian state. After all, Norway just signed multiple high-level strategic agreements with India. Norway just elevated ties with India through a green strategic partnership. Norway just honored Prime Minister Modi with one of its highest civilian distinctions. So clearly, the Norwegian government seems to trust India enough to deepen defense, technology, maritime and energy cooperation.
I am wondering, as we strengthen our partnership, why should we trust you? Can you promise that you will try to stop the human rights violations that goes on in your country? And also, will the Prime Minister start taking critical questions from the Indian press at some point in the future?
But guess who trusts Helle? Almost blindly. Yes, you guessed it right. The Indian opposition. They are showering praises on her fearless journalism and latching on to her dig at India's 157th rank in world press freedom. Seeking legitimacy, they echoed, Prime Minister has embarrassed India.
Our Prime Ministers had a system of interacting with the media at home and also abroad. Questions were not being fixed in advance. We don't understand this tradition. 12 years the Prime Minister has not addressed a single press conference.
नॉर्वे में एक पत्रकार ने नरेंद्र मोदी जी से सवाल क्या पूछ लिया, वो तो ऐसा दुम दबाकर भागे मानो उनके पीछे भूत लग लिया हो। इस देश का मीडिया अगर मोदी जी से पेट्रोल, डीजल, एलपीजी के दामों और उसकी किल्लत पर सवाल पूछ ले तो मोदी जी की क्या हालत होगी। लेकिन मोदी जी को इसका भय नहीं है, क्योंकि यहाँ मीडिया थोड़ी है, यहाँ तो चरण चुंबक है।
Well, and who's saying that? Somebody who left the media to join a political party. Interestingly, the journalist at the center of this controversy has now publicly invited Rahul Gandhi for a telephonic interview after he amplified her post. He has so far not responded to that interview request, at least on social media, but many are now trying to join the dots. But here is the reminder for Helle. How the man she is keen to interview has treated journalists back home in his own time when he was asked questions.
पहला आपका अटेम्प्ट वहां से आया, दूसरा आपका अटेम्प्ट यहां से आया, तीसरा आपका अटेम्प्ट यहां से आया। आप इतनी डायरेक्टली बीजेपी के लिए क्यों काम कर रहे हो? थोड़ी डिस्कशन से करो यार। पैसी टी शर्ट ले लो ना एक, मैं आपको दे दूंगा, उनका वो सिंबल दे दूंगा आपको, ये उनकी लाइन है।
So what is it? What is it, JJ? So what is it, JJ? Don't waste my time. आपके खिलाफ privilege motion on this part.
Is that the word that you people have been given for today? Let me go. Is that the code word?
ये कहाँ से आया? ये सवाल कहाँ से आया आपके पास? ऑफिस की तरफ से ना? ऑफिस को बोलो प्रियंका जी पूछिए किसने भेजा उन्हें?
Well, he calls every question a BJP question. That's fine. That's press freedom. The BJP calls the opposition's frustration and resentment as stemming from insecurity, fueled by Prime Minister getting global honors left, right and center.
Soon after, Rahul Gandhi, in a very frustrated tweet, spoke about Prime Minister Modi ji's visit in Norway. This resentful expression by Rahul Gandhi only exposes his deep-seated insecurity and complex about Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji.
Stupidity has no limits. That applies to Mr. Rahul Gandhi very clearly. I mean, a stupid journalist asking question after the joint declaration without following the protocols, and then she tweets that the Prime Minister does not answer, and he repeats that.
And as far as the index that is being repeatedly weaponized to lecture India on press freedoms is concerned, here are some reasons why it may not be the most trustworthy itself. According to a detailed Niti Aayog critique, the World Press Freedom Index is built on a remarkably small and opaque assessment process. Roughly 150 respondents, 18 NGOs, 83 questions for every country, which basically means on average, one respondent is effectively assessing one country. The methodology is highly vulnerable to bias. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Is insecurity the reason behind opposition's resentment against Prime Minister Modi? That's the question. That's the debate on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Well, joining the debate tonight, Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the ORF, Suhail Seth, columnist, marketing guru, Deepak Reddy, National Spokesperson of the TDP, Karan Verma, author, also joining the debate, Vivek Silas, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Joining me in the studios here, Somnath Bharti, former minister in the Aam Aadmi Party government. Also joining the debate, and to whom my first question goes, Ashwini Kumar Mishra, leader of the Congress Party. And Ashwini Kumar Mishra, my question to you is, why are you buckling over because somebody in a Western nation who tweets once in a while, asks a question which is not even as per protocol? You know, joint addresses sometimes are followed by questions, sometimes are not. And even the Norway Prime Minister was walking off. The question asked by this journalist is about how can you trust India? Well, her own country, the monarchy there, the Prime Minister there have trusted India and honored the Prime Minister, signed trade deals. Why are we looking for legitimacy and some kind of validation from journalists there?
Navika ji, good evening to you, fellow panelists and your viewers. Whatever I'm going to speak about media is about in general media, not specific to you or your channel. Why Indian media is being criticized or shamed is because media is afraid of asking Modi ji important or difficult questions on unemployment, inflation, social tension, foreign policy or governance. Whereas media is, whenever media speak to Modi ji, पहली बात तो मोदी जी press conference करते नहीं हैं, and whenever it goes to one-on-one interviews, media is focusing on his personality style questions कि मोदी जी आपकी fitness का राज क्या है, हौले हौले हो जाएगा प्यार अब की बार 400 पार, या मोदी जी आम काट कर खाते हैं, चूस कर खाते हैं. These are the kind of questions when media asks to a sitting prime minister. That is when people have a doubt on the intent of media, whether this is a fourth pillar of democracy or not, and that is quite evident across foreign presses. Why don't media ask question to Modi ji why fuel prices are high when you already earn almost like 40 lakh crores in the price disparity between barrel price and the fuel price? But media is defending Modi ji on the oil bonds, which is hardly like 3 to 4% of the money Modi ji made in last 12 years with this fuel disparity. Why don't media ask Modi ji about the accountability on terrorist attack? What happened to Pahalgam? What happened to after Delhi blast? Modi ji said कि act of terror will be act of war. Delhi blast के बाद ऐसा क्या हो गया? Act of war क्यों नहीं हुआ? Why this fellow Pradhan ji has not been sacked in spite of multiple neat paper leak? NTA के हमने गुइयां छीनने के लिए बनाया था 2017 में. So these are the questions media should ask Modi ji. Why when Manipur was burning, why Modi ji was busy?
Ashwini ji, how many of these debates have you participated in where all of these questions and more have been asked? But Sushant Sareen, clearly the Congress is in the certification business. They want to certify which question should be asked. They want to certify which is the language that should be used. They want to certify which media person will ask what question, how, what will be the inflection. Is that how it works? Really, Sushant Sareen? And are they not supposed to look at their own track record on this rather than looking for certification from a Norwegian journalist?
Look, as far as looking for certification from some obscure Norwegian journalist is concerned, I think that's part of the kind of colonial baggage that we come. कि गोरे ने एक सवाल पूछ लिया तो that has to be answered. Gora is very important. The Congress party, ever since it came into power after independence and the power was transferred from the white colonial to the brown colonial, they have practiced this. The Congress party also, Mr. Mishra, I would have respected his comments earlier if he had also asked these comments about journalists who were questioning the Congress president or the former Congress president on what she cooks, how she was with her mother-in-law, and all those softball questions that were thrown by people who are into heavy physical activity in front of other people who ask them questions. And then, of course, if Mr. Mishra had also bothered to enlighten us on how much criticism was carried out by mouthpieces of TMC and DMK in Tamil Nadu and I'm talking about so-called national newspapers, the anti-Hindu newspapers, and if you get the drift, and certain newspapers which are telegraphed all over the world, how much did they question the fascist regime of Mamata Banerjee? But let's come back to this particular question. Number one, it was a stupid question. She asked, why should we trust you? That is a question should be put to their government. It should not be put to our government. Second, on India's human rights record. Look, nobody can claim, that India is a perfect country. Far from it. We have huge number of problems. Question is, do we try and solve those problems or not? Do we try and get some kind of mechanisms to sort those problems out? Is there any country in the world where these problems don't happen? Do they not happen in the United States? Do they not happen in UK? Just recently, Navika, since we are talking about press freedom index and how much freedom of speech people have. There has been some index which has been published which says the UK has arrested the maximum number of people. India has, I think, about 100 for expressing certain views on social media. The UK, which is supposed to be the mother of press freedom and all of that, has about 1,400 arrests. 1,400 arrests for social media posts in a country which swears by freedom of speech and expression, right? The question is that when these people are making these tables and they're making these rankings, do they take that into account on how countries like the UK or some of the other European countries have practiced unbridled fascism against free speech or speech with which they do not agree? But of their Mr. Mishra and others of his ilk will absolutely zip up their mouth.
Absolutely not. And this press freedom index in itself, there is no transparency on how it is made. One question and one person answering that question. So get a person of your choice, make them say anything about India. If you can rank Afghanistan, Qatar and Pakistan above India, God above me, do we need anybody else to tell us what kind of a sham this is, Somnath Bharti ji? And Somnath Bharti ji, I ask you this, not because India is perfect, but I ask you this because will a Norwegian journalist who's standing pretty far from the stage, probably not in a press conference, a joint statement, when both leaders are walking off the stage, she asks, which is not even a question, it's a predetermined video moment where she says what she has to say, and it is the audio recording and the visual that is very well crafted. Now, Somnath Bharti ji, really, are we so desperate to criticize Prime Minister that we need this as a tool?
No, Navika ji, I think we should appreciate Honorable Prime Minister for not facing the press for so long. And I remember that last he faced the press, then he was passing the questions to Mr. Amit Shah. He didn't answer a single question. After that, he didn't dare to face the press. I do see that you have interviewed him, but the kind of questions you have asked him, I mean, they're predetermined questions. Fixed questions.
Fixed
don't
questions?
Make him uncomfortable.
Revanna,
I mean,
that question was a fixed question. No, Somnath Bharti, I will not. You know, when...
Stop. You did not interrupt. You did not interrupt the gentleman who spoke.
My friend, the next time, this is exactly the point. You want to direct what should be my tonality. It's not about the questions, so I'll say it. It is what should be my, text, what should be my tonality, where should I interject. Are you a film director and am I your actor, sir?
Mr. Modi.
Are you asking me?
I think you should ask this question, then possibly I am a bad actor then. You have to interrupt.
Absolutely, because I take no orders from the opposition.
Tell me one thing, Navika ji. Tell me, Navika ji, one thing. Let me ask you a question. Please permit me. Allow me.
How long will you speak?
Some courtesy. I'm asking Mr. Adani. See, last time, Mr. Modi faced a question in press in America. The question was about Adani. What answer did he give? He embarrassed the whole nation. And then Adani is facing prosecution in America for bribing Indian officers. He can't be investigated here by ED.
Well, Somnath Bharti ji, badi baatein chhodiye. One question was asked by the youngest reporter in our team, Bhavna Kishore. What happened to her? What happened to her in Ludhiana? आपको याद होगा ना?
To ask this question to Mr. Modi.
No, but Ludhiana mein what did you do to a reporter? Arresting a reporter, press freedom index summons coming from you.
Prosecution शुरू हुआ. $10 billion पे वो अपनी freedom को procure कर रहा है.
सवाल का जवाब तो दे नहीं रहे. Somnath Bharti ji, after Sheesh Mahal, Bhavna Kishore, the youngest reporter in my team, asked a question. What happened to her? Please don't lecture me on press freedom.
जिस दिन ये कॉकरोच निकल जाएगा ना, नाविका जी, ये कॉकरोच तैयार हो रहे हैं. मैं भी कॉकरोच चल पड़ा हिंदुस्तान में. जिस दिन पहुंच जाएगा आपका फिर बताइएगा, मुझसे सवाल पूछिएगा। आज सवाल पूछ लीजिए अगर फ्यूचर में बचना है तो।
हम जैसे कॉकरोच 35 साल से यही घूम रहे हैं सर, आप अभी जुड़े हैं इस रेस में, आपको अभी बहुत फासला तय करना है। बट Suhail said, is the opposition giving media in India lectures, giving the Prime Minister in India lectures? What is their own record, number one? And number two, why are we always looking for validation, or why are we always looking at the colonial example which we jump at, as both Ashwini and Somnath Bharti ji have done?
I'm actually very disappointed with Somnath comparing himself to a cockroach. Because I would have expected a better description of his remarkable achievements. And I'm not being sarcastic. Somnath has had mega achievements. He's a lawyer. He's with Aam Aadmi Party, whose founder swore he would never get into politics in a press conference. But that is the past. I have only 4 points to make. Number one, it is no one's business to question my country's press freedom when a Somnath Bharti or a Rahul Gandhi or a Priyanka Gandhi, and all within their rights, can say anything they want and not be punished. The only person who got punished was Bhavna Kishore, as Navika Kumar told you. Number two, Somnath, you're a reasonably bright man. Just because you have to defend the indefensible doesn't mean you have to lose your intellectual sheen. You and I both know that that question was not a question. It was a statement, it was agenda-driven, and it was in every which way rude and intemperate. The word intemperate you should Google, because you're an erudite man. Number three, it is no one's business to say that when there is a press statement, it should be a press conference. And the MEA invited this lady, who, by the way, has now made a career for herself by aligning herself with India's opposition, not knowing that the fate she will receive. Because India's opposition only does press conferences. It's about time that they started winning elections. Elections are not won by how, conveniently you answer questions. Now let's come to history. Since, Somnath talked about history, and Ashwini K. Mishra, who's now been defined as a leader of the Congress party, which to my mind is a great thing. It's better to be a leader than to be a spokesperson. Ashwini, the emergency was actually the upholding of the freedoms of the press, right? It wasn't. Everyone has erred, to my mind. Do I agree with the Prime Minister not holding a press conference? I don't. But I'm not the Prime Minister. Never will be. I mean, even my late mother would not have voted for me. So that's another matter. Do you seriously believe every time India is made fun of, India's democracy is held up in bad light, is that a time for you to celebrate? No wonder you don't win. Every time, see, Rahul Gandhi has become like what Mamta used to be, a problem for every solution. You delight in the perniciousness of the insults that are heaped on India. Put your finger down. Put your finger down. We are not asking for bread or milk. When I finish, you can speak, depending on Navika Kumar's permission. Number three, let me tell you, everything that lady did,
I don't need your permission,
was,
sir,
to my mind, agenda-driven. Because she didn't ask a question, she made a statement. It was not the place to make a statement. And Prime Minister Modi has every right to disregard a question. Actually, what I was wondering was, how would Donald J. Trump have handled her? He would have handled her with conceit and rudely. The Prime Minister kept his calm and did what anyone would do, walk away with dignity and let the undignified revel in their lack of dignity.
And what, Ashwini, you have missed is the fact that an Indian journalist, out of turn probably, standing in a crowd, tried to ask a question of the Norwegian Prime Minister just half an hour before this particular joint statement. At that time, the Norwegian Prime Minister also did not answer. So you have to wait. When there are heads of states meeting, there is a protocol that is followed. Why don't you get that?
Navika ji, it's not about that one individual asking question to Modi ji. It is about the press freedom of our country. And this entire debate, you yourself has asked multiple questions about opposition, Rahul Gandhi and everyone. but you have not asked any individual a single question why our Prime Minister has not done a single press conference, whereas Manmohan Singh has done more than 100 press conferences, Rahul Gandhi has done more than 50 press conferences.
There are press conferences where I have wanted to ask questions and I have not been given a chance to answer those, to ask those questions, sir. So please, let's not please get into it. I was the one uncovering a lot of scams. I was not given chances in those press conferences. There are press conferences and there are press conferences that there is, that, you know, Sushant sir, on many occasions, we do not get a chance. Favorites are allowed to ask questions. Am I wrong in saying that?
May I, will you permit me, sir? Ma'am?
Coming to you, sir. Sushant Sareen first.
I didn't get your question, Navika. Can you repeat?
I said even in press conferences, favorites are allowed to ask questions. Happened in the Manmohan Singh time. What are they talking about?
So Navika, you know, I think earlier Mr. Bharti was asking that you had an interview with the Prime Minister and look at the kind of questions these were prejudged questions or whatever was the term he used. The point is, number one, Mr. Bharti probably doesn't know how journalism works. That whenever you seek an interview with somebody, the other side will ask you, please give us a list of the questions that you will ask us. It is a standard procedure. This everybody has done all throughout, number one. Number two, even in press conferences, and Navika, you attend press conferences more than anybody else and have attended when you were a reporter, you would remember that when there were these foreign dignitaries who would come, the press would be told there will be 2 questions to the Indian press pool, 2 questions to the foreign press pool. And the questioners were pre-selected, always, whether it was in India, whether it was in the United States. Donald Trump is a different, kettle of fish or whatever is the term. Suhail will correct me on that. He's different. He loves talking to the press and making an ass of himself all the time. But that's him. But how many times do you see other world leaders go to the press and talk like what Donald Trump does? Now, so
yes, Tama. Yes, Tama.
Exactly. And the point is that every time when you are standing in front of an international audience, those are absolutely decided. It's decided before the conference, what are the questions which are going to be asked, who will be asking those questions, and to whom those questions will be asked. Of course, then there are those impromptu questions. Again, the job of the journalist is to ask the question. The person being questioned is all within his rights. How he answers that question, whether he even answers it or not, whether he ducks it, that is part and parcel of how press conferences are handled.
Well, as far as heads of states are concerned, questions are asked, and this happens as an international practice, Somnath Bharti ji. But I was even talking about the so-called open press conferences by Dr. Manmohan Singh for the Indian media. Where we were not allowed, because we were uncovering scams, so other people were allowed to ask. We didn't go around beating our chest कि अरे भाई नहीं किया, press freedom is देश के नीचे आ गई. Somnath Bharti, I'm just asking.
You should have defended her. Somnath, my friend, you should have come to Navika's rescue.
No, that party was not born then.
Wrong party.
I'm talking about 2010.
Somnath Bharti was still a lawyer in 2010. He's not, he just looks
But
young,
he was not such an aam aadmi to have a party.
All right, so. All right. See, my dear friend Suhailji, very senior, very, celebrated man. See, there have been killings of the journalists. Gauri Lankesh, nobody has forgotten because she was a big critic of BJP and she was killed. Purnam Roy, he was arrested. He was facing a big case unless he sold NDTV. Siddiqui Kappan, because he questioned UP government over the killing of that Dalit girl who was gang raped. Nikhil Bagle, Shahid Tantre, Arvind Gunasekar, Abhisar Sharma, Punipursan, and there are a series of people. No, he's live. But then what happened to him? Are you aware? He was violently attacked in Pune by individuals who was affiliated with BJP. So what I'm saying, in this country, sir, the freedom of the press has been suppressed to an
unprecedented, level.
Somnath, I'll tell you one
And that
thing,
is
my
what we
friend.
need to admit, sir.
1 minute.
See, Swati,
You want, since you call me old, since you call me old,
intellectual,
there was a
but
gentleman
kindly-
called Khushro Irani. He used to run the Statesman in Calcutta, where we were all born and raised. Not all, but me. He famously said, the press anywhere in the world is as free as it chooses to be. No one gives you the freedom. The freedom is there for you to seize. So it is incorrect to say that India does not have a free press. There are many portals, there are many newspapers, there are many magazines which follow a trenchant non-government agenda. But then the left liberals call those who believe with the government that, yalla Godi media. You put your hand on your heart. Honest man. Your wife will get very upset if you're dishonest on the program. Has Kejriwal ever done a non-scripted interview? मेरे को सच बोलो. You remember that thing where he spoke in the years of Punya Pujari Vajpayee or whatever the gentleman's name was, कि तुम ऐसे पूछना, मैं फिर ऐसे जवाब दूंगा. वो क्या प्रेस फ्रीडम था? देखा ना? अब हंस पड़े ना? मैं आपको एक बात बोलूं.
सोमनाथ भारती जी.
टर्किश बात है. तमाम में सब नंगे रहते हैं.
सोमनाथ भारती जी.
आप ये याद रखो सोमनाथ जी. हम लोग
ऐसा है. See, I mean, you were asking me important questions. So let me respond to you, sir, in the same spirit. Mr. Oh, no, Kejriwal ji, see, he has always been facing questions from the media, and he has fearlessly confronted and responded to every question, whichever question was asked of him. And I think, see, one of, I mean,
मैं ये जवाब दूंगा.
Bhavna Kishore, and I rest my case. Let me get in Vivek Silas. Vivek Silas and Deepak Reddy ji and Karan haven't spoken, so allow me Somnath Bharti ji. Vivek Silas, you know what Suhail says is partially correct. Open to the media, when in seat of power, answering questions. You know, if you're raising questions about Prime Minister Modi, then I think everybody here has never been, accountable. There have been action against journalists in India. That is really the lesser point. The point tonight is you can raise these questions whenever you want in India. Why do you need a Norwegian journalist to make such a scene and, raise that issue that actually should not be an issue that the opposition should be celebrating tonight?
Navika ji, I can just say as far as the journalist who was trying to ask the question from the Prime Minister, it is absolutely normal and it's absolutely fine that the Prime Minister did not pay any heed to her and just walked off. It's fine. My point of concern at the moment is what the Netherlands Prime Minister Job Jetten said on behalf of the European Union. He talked about India and human rights violation in India, and he also said that why doesn't the Prime Minister answer the direct question from the Indian or the foreign media? I can just say that today what Mr. Nishikant Dubey, the Bharatiya Janata Party member of Parliament who comes from Jharkhand, has said कि मोदी जी जो हैं वो प्रश्न से ऊपर हो चुके हैं, उनसे अब प्रश्न पूछना बेकार है. It was 15th of June 1983 when our late Prime Minister Shrimati Indira Gandhi was at the same spot. And she was asked direct and very hard questions, and she answered it all. Okay, today the Prime Minister doesn't want to answer, it's absolutely fine. You know, when the former Prime Minister, take the example of Dr. Manmohan Singh, when he used to come from foreign trips, there were all sort of questions to him. What was the treaty about and what India gained from that trip? And he used to answer everything asked by the media. But today, does the Prime Minister, when coming back from the foreign trip, can the media ask him what was the achievement of the country?
Well, the media is no longer on the flight, so the tradition of doing a press conference on flights is now a thing of the past. Earlier on, we all know what happened on those flights and the media flying with him, but Deepak Reddy...
5 seconds.
Okay, what's your question?
I just want to ask that has our Honorable Prime Minister said anything about NEET? Today he is in the foreign land, and let me tell you, man, whether you know or you don't know, today the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is abroad, Mr. JP Nadda is abroad, Mr. S. Jaishankar is abroad, they are all abroad. And they are all saying save fuel, save this, save that. They are all abroad. And the media is just unaware of it. That is the problem.
दीपक रेड्डी, मीडिया को कुछ पता नहीं,
आपको पता था?
सब कुछ ऑपोजिशन को नहीं, हमें तो पता नहीं है ना, हम तो न्यूज कवर नहीं करते, न्यूज तो आप कवर करते हैं, हम कहाँ करते हैं?
आप क्या कर रहे हैं विदेशों में?
आपको अखबारों की जरूरत नहीं है, आपको सिर्फ डिबेट पे आना है ताकि आप हमारे साथ झगड़ सके, क्योंकि सवाल तो आप
झगड़ा नहीं करता ना।
नहीं भाई, न्यूज तो आप हमें दे रहे हैं, हमें तो पता ही नहीं है।
चलिए
दीपक रेड्डी।
Yeah, Navika, I would like a minute extra because my office has done a lot of work and we have got a lot of paperwork. Once I'm done showing this, I think it will be pretty much clear the conspiracy behind what has happened. I'll start off with some facts. Norway is a monarchy, a Christian nation where the second largest religion has only 3% representation. India is 257 times larger in population, and what we have seen is nothing but racial arrogance driven by ignorance and lack of knowledge. And talking about the question of trust, Norway trusts us and that's why they have done a deal. The monarchy trusts us and that's why they have met the Prime Minister. And the highest honor has been given to us. So it's very clear that the Norway trusts, and European Union has done a deal which is called the mother of all deals, so they trust us. So it's not the question of the country, it is the question of an individual who has a problem. And that's where we dug into all this information. This is a tweet put out by her. The last tweet which was put out from her account was almost more than 2 years ago, and it suddenly got activated and she's put that tweet out. So the minute she put out the tweet on the Prime Minister, it's run into over 11.3 million. So she's clearly doing it with an intention to get some public attention. And then now look at her followers. Just a few hours before, it was only 1,393 followers she had. The minute this was done, it jumped to over 32,200 followers. So who are all these followers? Then let's go into whom she's following. A lot of them belonging to the Congress or the jihadi mindset people, the list of followers whom she's following. And now the minute this is done, Rahul Gandhi tweets and supports her. And after that, Rana Ayub gets into the picture. Rana Ayub supports her. And the whole circle,
Your Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu called Narendra Modi a terrorist. Your Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu called Narendra Modi a terrorist
which has happened before,
and you are speaking of jihadi mindset. You tell me this first.
Ecosystem
you tell me this
drama
first.
which was built,
Chandrababu
and this
Naidu
is not from Norway.
This
is clearly an individual which has an ulterior motive.
Ashwini Mishra ji, why are you getting agitated? He did not. Mr. Deepak Reddy has been silent. He did not interrupt you even once. Why are you getting agitated? कांग्रेस का नाम 4 बार आ गया. शुरू से आप प्रधानमंत्री के बारे में बोल रहे थे, तब आपको कोई चिंता नहीं थी. एक बार दीपक रेड्डी जी फैक्ट्स दिखा रहे हैं तो आप एजिटेट हो गए.
मुझे पहले नाविका जी ये बताइए, मुझे ये बताइए, चंद्रबाबू नायडू ने नरेंद्र मोदी को टेररिस्ट कहा था कि नहीं कहा था? और ये जिहादी माइंडसेट
आप पहले मुझे बताइए, आपने केजरीवाल को क्या कहा था, फिर आपने क्यों अलायंस कर ली? जब आप उसका जवाब दे देंगे तो मैं आपके सवाल का जवाब ले लूंगी दीपक रेड्डी जी से. फॉर नाउ आई विल लोअर योर फेडर, अलाउ दीपक रेड्डी जी टू कंप्लीट हिज पॉइंट.
One last thing, Navika. This is how Rahul Gandhi treats the press when in India, let alone abroad. Look at the press wants to talk to him and he's like busy with his phone. And Sonia Gandhi ji and his guards are just pushing the press aside. This is the respect what that party has for the press in India.
What?
And it is very clear that the Congress gentleman was totally rattled and he tried to cut me off and not
okay. Now Ashwini, why are you so rattled? It is an ecosystem. Deepak Reddy ji has only spoken about the ecosystem. He has the freedom of speech, doesn't he?
terrorist. Chandrababu Naidu, as a freedom of speech, called Narendra Modi a terrorist. You think that's freedom of speech, calling a sitting prime minister a terrorist?
I already responded to that. The minute you respond on why and what all you have said about Aam Aadmi Party and how you have allied with them after that, जिस दिन आप उसका जवाब दे देंगे, मैं दूसरे सवाल का जवाब ले दूंगी. Karan Verma ji, why is Ashwini Mishra so rattled because of the facts shown by Deepak Reddy ji?
No, I think Navika ji at the outset, our good friends Vivek, Silas and Ashwini ji, they've raised some good questions, you know. Vivek Silas ji ne kaha, what is Modi ji doing abroad? I mean, he's just secured 30 million barrels from UAE in strategic reserves. According to him, that's a very small thing. Why is he outside? He's just had an alliance where the Tata Group has entered into an alliance with the semiconductor company there in Netherlands. According to him, that is not important. And
I
our good
just
friend
said he should come and address the press.
How the journalists
What are the achievements of India?
I am speaking after 33 minutes. Navika ji,
you are not going to tell that, Karan. It's the Prime Minister who has to tell the country or address the country.
He's come at the end. Allow him to make his point, sir. Freedom of speech?
No, I'm appalled by the way Vivek ji started behaving. I mean, I used to consider him a civil person. I don't know what has happened to him of late. He was saying that, you know, the Prime Minister said this to a journalist.
वो थोड़ा अश्विनी जी की का असर इन पे भी हो जाता है.
Can I speak?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Just 6 months back, Vivek ji, there was a leader, your favorite leader. He told a journalist, "Arey Shukla ji, तुम्हें शर्म नहीं आती? नाम क्या है तुम्हारा? शुक्ला जी नाम है तुम्हारा." That was the language Manniya Akhilesh ji used towards a journalist. You talk about press freedom. And Navika ji, this Reporters Without Borders, it should actually be ratings without basis. You know how they judge this entire thing? When they rate Qatar ahead of us, the basis for them is that if the media is state controlled, if it is totally towing the line of the state, it is considered press freedom. Whereas a chaotic democracy like ours, where yes, there is chaos, but it's still a democracy at the end of it, they consider that as very low on the press freedom. I mean, that's their parameter. They don't even calculate incidents per capita. For them, just because our population is big and there could be more incidents, they would rate it as greater violation of press freedom. This record we are looking at, and the entire opposition and ecosystem, and meanwhile the Norwegian ministers themselves are saying it's a ridiculous report. They are themselves saying that this journalist is immature, has no relevance. She had a handful of followers. She was absolutely irrelevant as perhaps Rahul Gandhi, despite being leader of opposition, and today she wants to interview Rahul Gandhi. So I think birds of the same feather flock together. And Ashwini ji, you've had the freedom of speech to say vote chori. You've had the freedom of speech to cast aspersions on every single institution of our great democracy without any basis.
Absolutely.
You've been pulled up by the court.
The whole hypocrisy of this is that every political leader has taken pot shots at the media. You know, you can start with Rahul Gandhi, who has called, kahan se question leke aaye hain, t-shirt pehen lo BJP ka. Asking a question is because somebody is sponsoring that question. Is that not unfair? If the right question is, oh, it is scripted question. Every political leader has done that, led by Rahul Gandhi. Why are they today suddenly becoming champions of free press? I don't know. Emergency that was brought in by a party, they giving us sermons on press freedom. Well, many would question that. But we did a survey. It's not about an ecosystem. We asked the people. Prime Minister heckled, opposition sees panic. Resentment due to insecurity? Yes, say 74% of the people. No, say 21%. Can't say 5%. 74% of the people believe, well, look at your own backyard, ladies and gentlemen, before you come and point fingers at others. Well, that's what people are saying. But meanwhile, the opposition, well, on a relaxed day, got an opportunity once again to take on the Prime Minister. Have they won this battle? Well, the poll clearly tells you where people stand. Thank you very much to all my panelists joining me on debate number 1.